And welcome back to another episode of the Zero Empty Spaces podcast, episode 67, with Design Center of the Americas resident artist Jamie Lapidus here from our beautiful studio at the Dakota in Dania Beach, ahead of our grand opening Friday, June the 13th. If you didn't know about Zero Empty Spaces, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, started an initiative to activate vacant commercial real estate spaces so talented artists like her have space to create and collaborate outside their homes.
Yes.
It's led to a myriad of win-win-win benefits with the first 33 spaces we've activated now over the last 6 years across 4 states, with over 750 artists having come through the program, and it truly has changed hundreds of artists' lives thousands of times over. But the point of the podcast is to connect you with the talented artists like her that make the program what it is. So without much further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you initially got started in the arts?
All right. So my name's Jamie Lapidus. I come from a very artistic family, on both sides of the family, actually. So on my dad's side of the family, my grandparents were both super artistic. They actually used to teach art classes on cruise ships so that they could cruise around the world.
Wow.
Yeah, things were very different back then.
That's cool.
My grandfather used to sculpt and do a lot of things with wood, incredible, different things. And he actually had a very creative, funky mind. We used to make jokes because when they moved to Florida from New York, one of the bathrooms in their apartment, he ended up wallpapering with Playboy centerfolds. So very creative. But my grandmother worked with a lot of gold foil, different fabrics, mediums. She would go to home stores and buy leftover paints and stuff and do pour painting with different acrylics. So I got a lot of it from her. And then my great uncle was a very well-known architect in Miami Beach. He did the Fontainebleau, Eden Rock, and he was an incredible artist as well. And then on my mom's side, my nanny and poppy started a business where they manufactured sequins and glitter and rhinestones. So when we were kids, if we stayed home sick from school, we had to stuff pom-poms into bags. And we were just surrounded with art and, arts and crafts and stuff. So it flows through my veins.
And then how did that so then when you got to a point where you were ready to create, how did your creation start coming about?
I always loved art. Our house, the walls were just filled with our family's artwork. So we were always just, fascinated with the different things that our families made. But I never really focused so much on the art until I had some health issues. And then it was really more of a mental health outlet for me. And it was really just a source of comfort for me. I always found this very relaxing, just emotionally, it was like a release, just having a blank canvas and paints and just being able to sit in your own thoughts and see what happened on the canvas without really having a plan. No matter what you were going through, whether it was a happy time or the darkest time, it was just a release for me. I guess art was just always a thing, but when the health issues started, that's when the art really became more of a presence in my life.
And art can be many different things to many different people. Mm-hmm. Art could be history, art could be storytelling, art could be interior design, art could be, therapy. So from that life-altering moment, how did that help you on your health journey, your mental health journey, and your art journey now overall?
Yeah, so I would say for me, at 37, I had a really scary moment where I had a seizure in my sleep. And I was luckily I was at my parents' house, but I was unresponsive in the morning. And so my mom ended up having to call an ambulance. And it was just a very scary situation because I never really realized that you could be diagnosed with epilepsy so late in life. And a month after that, I happened to be diagnosed with hyperplasia, which is precancerous cells. And I ended up needing to make a decision that caused me to have a hysterectomy. And it was literally a month after the diagnosis from the epilepsy. So I needed something, otherwise I was going to spiral. So for me, it was really, I think, I don't know what it was, but I looked into learning about how to use epoxy and resin and just the flow of it. And I just found it so relaxing, and seeing how it just flowed on the canvas and how the colors all kind of formed together. And I did a couple pieces with broken glass. And for me, there was a piece that I did where it kind of felt like I was expressing what I was going through at that moment, where it was like this beautifully broken me on a canvas. And then COVID hit, and we weren't really able to see our families. So we did a Zoom session like every week with our family. And I remember having canvases delivered to my sister's house, and we did this beautiful wall of hearts for my parents' house, and each person did a different heart, and the hearts were horrible, but it was just so nice because everybody did a different size heart. But it was just, art was this beautiful way for all of us to kind of come together, even though we weren't physically together. It just brought us together. So, you know, even though we were going through things medically, emotionally, mentally, you know, we were all dealing with things. Art was just this one thing that kind of brought us together and kind of cheered us up and got us out of that like funk.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And now that you've had the early stage experiences with the family inspirations and influences, which is incredible. And now that you've, you know, had later in life family experiences, which is also beautiful. What has surprised you the most about yourself since beginning this journey as an artist?
I think for me, just seeing how much I'm capable of and experiencing different things and trying new mediums. And I went into an art store and saw like fabrics that were left over, which is this piece. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to buy those, because my grandmother used to do that, and just play around with it and see what happens. And just seeing what you're capable of, and really like pushing your boundaries and not staying in that comfort zone. And to be completely honest with you, I feel like, and I say this all the time to my family, I don't think I've done anything in my home studio since I've been in this studio, because I come here and it's like, oh my God, I feel so like energized and creative, and like I have this like whole new look on art and all these things I want to try. And then I go home and I'm like exhausted because I've spent hours here, just like my brain is like going a million miles per hour, like with all these ideas that I have. And it's just so exciting feeding off of the other artists. And So yeah, I just never knew what I was capable of until I really like stepped out of that comfort zone.
That's certainly one of the
Yeah.
purposes, and with our mission here of making these cooperative, collaborative spaces available. I mean, some people work fine in a vacuum in isolation,
Yeah, of
and
course.
that's certainly fine. But when you
Hmm.
have, 24, other artists that you can get inspiration from their work, bounce ideas off of,
Yeah,
have a conversation. It certainly does help fill that cup or refill that cup and keep you
absolutely.
energized. Um, at this current stage of your practice and of your life, I mean, we see a
Mhm.
couple different, styles just within this
Yeah.
scene here. How do you currently describe, your work and what you're working on?
I would say just wild, crazy,
That's one.
fun. Yeah. I don't want to stay in one lane. I just want to keep, having fun, experimenting. Um, I was talking to Leslie, which is one of the other artists that we always seem to end up here at the same time. So we feed off of each other now. Um, and one of the things that I was saying to her is like, I would love to find a giant mirror and just like decorate that and go crazy on. Like, I have all these ideas that I never really had before. Um, so for me, where before I would say I love working with resin and acrylic, I don't think I've touched resin since I've been here, which is something that obviously I would do at my home studio. And I have a giant canvas that I've been working on for months there. But here, I feel like the ideas are like endless. It's like I walk in and I have 20 different things that I want to play with and try now. So yeah, for me, it's just whatever comes to my mind. I could be driving here and see a tree and I'm like, oh my God, I want to like figure out a way to recreate that as soon as I get to the studio.
This is pretty unique. I mean, this looks like different patterns and carpet, but like
Yes.
snakeskin.
Yeah. I saw these different fabrics. There's like pleather on there. There was some fabric for a sofa that somebody had where they were upholstering their chairs. There was some ribbon that I had, and I love gold foil, so I use that anytime I have the opportunity to. That's something that my grandmother used on almost everything. Um, so there's always gold on something.
And then this is more of that epoxy pouring,
Yes.
flowing
Yes.
piece that certainly shows, very well, and it's a very cathartic process, very healing
Yes.
process.
It is, definitely. Just pouring it and trying to get it into that like perfect, uh, you know, placement and everything. Um, yes, it is. It's very therapeutic playing with that.
So with that being, and we, no art has the ability, to do that individually, but I know you are an active member of the community. So what has it meant for you or to you to share your artwork with others, whether through exhibitions, social media, or just in conversation out and about at temple or wherever?
Um, I mean, more recently, I would say it's been an incredible experience. I feel like I've been like rejuvenated since coming to this particular space. Um, I'm born and raised Floridian. I know we're like a diamond in the rough, which is so bizarre to me, but Dakota is a place that was open twice a year to the public.
Right.
So as soon as you guys said that this space was open to the public and you had a location here, it was like, the creative juices started flowing. And I reached out to you the other day. The mayor of Dania came in. She was so excited about the arts, and, you know, just seeing her emotions and her excitement about having the studio here, it was, you know, it makes you feel so proud to be an artist and say that you're an artist. It's something I would never say before, but now, like, you say it and you feel proud to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. And, you know, when you're talking to the other artists here, even though we're not all here together, when you are talking to each other, you feed off of each other, and it's like this sense of community. And you know, I talk about it when I'm volunteering at JAFCO, or when I'm with my friends and family. And my cousin came in the other day just to see my studio space, and she's already reached out to Frank, one of the other artists, about a piece she wants to buy from him.
Nice.
You know, it's just this sense of community. It really is. And it's incredible, because you know, I worked in the hospitality industry many, many moons ago, and we all say, like, you're this little tribe of people, and it's the same with artists. You're like this family that, you know, you understand each other. You all come from like the same tribe, and so it's been really like exciting to be a part of this. So
awesome. So, having gone through everything that you've gone through,
mm-hmm.
How do you hope that your story impacts someone who might be going through a period of pain or transition or health and life situations?
Yeah. For me, I would definitely say find an outlet, because I've had a lot of friends choose the wrong path. I've unfortunately lost a lot of friends to suicide. And I feel like there's always something, whether it be someone to talk to or some sort of outlet. Art for me was my happy place. And for me personally, and I know that this isn't like, you know, the healthiest option, but for me, I always found early on that a whiskey, 90s R&B, and a huge canvas was like the happiest thing for me. And everybody has their own thing.
Right.
But, you know, you have to find something that you can just release those emotions. And you'd be surprised. You know, therapy doesn't work for everybody. You know, yoga is amazing for certain people. There's a million different things. I did boxing for a while, and that was great because I had so much aggression. But when I let out the anger, I needed something else.
Right.
I turned to tattoos, you know, and then finally when I was painting, it was like this release.
Right.
And, you know, somebody once said, do you find that when you're in this dark place, you paint with darker colors, or, you know, and to be honest, I thought my work would be like dark, depressing, but I would paint these bright, beautiful pieces. And for some reason, blue and gold were like my favorite hues, but like I would paint a huge purple piece and I wouldn't know where that would come from because I would be, you know, feeling this overwhelming sense of emotion about something. But, you know, you have to find an outlet. So, yeah, I just always tell people, no matter where you are physically, mentally, emotionally, there's something you can do, you know?
And art is a great
art is
therapeutic.
The most amazing therapy. Honestly, you don't have to have, I wasn't trained professionally. I didn't go to school for it. You can take a canvas. I see videos of people putting these huge pieces of just giant canvas on the floor and covering their body in paint and sliding across them. You don't need any experience whatsoever. You can do something fun, crazy. I went to see my nephews when they were younger at summer camp, and they were doing an archery class where it was balloons filled with paint. I mean, you can do anything. So, yeah, art to me is like the best form of medicine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, not everybody is born into it or has the family history.
Yeah.
Some people discover it later in life. I only discovered my love of art right around age 30 when I started going to Wynwood. And, you know, I was a regular Johnny 95 recruiter sitting at a desk, you know, listening to some TED Talks, you know, watching the sports games was my, you know, entertainment.
Yeah.
And then I discovered, wow, this whole world of art is vast and the rabbit holes go deep.
So deep.
So with that being said, what would you say to someone who's hesitant to explore creativity later in life?
Don't hesitate. I still find myself like holding back. And I have to remind myself, like, your art might not be for everybody. And it doesn't have to be. But I found as soon as I stepped into this space, there's 23 artists here, and there could be 7 of us that are abstract. None of us look exactly the same. Out of all 23 artists in this space, there's not a single person that makes the same art.
Out of the 750 artists we've had come through our program.
Not a single person, yeah. And it's amazing. And I know, you know, and this is just my routine. I don't know how the other artists are when they walk in, but the second that I walk into the space, I literally go to each person's space and look to see what they're working on, because I'm in awe every time I walk in. And there's this new piece of art that's more stunning than the last piece that was created. And it really is like it doesn't matter if you're 60 creating. I mean, you can throw red paint at a white canvas and it's probably going to turn out gorgeous. You'd be surprised. But, you know, it's just so inspiring. Like when you walk around and you just look at the work that people come up with, you know, it really does. It just creates this fire inside of you to like create something, you know, new and exciting. And
with every painting that's ever been painted, with every piece of music that's ever been written and sung, it's so amazing to me how in 2025 artists and creatives are still coming up with new work and creativity. Yeah. Yet, you know, you think like every poem has ever been written. Yeah. But it's not, because it's your lived experience that, you know, you're transmuting and transferring onto the canvas, onto whatever, you know, your medium is. And, you know, people often ask me, what is, you know, am I an artist? And I don't really paint. If we sit down, if there's a workshop, I love to get, and I do it once or twice a year, and I do find great joy in it. But my creativity is doing this podcast, editing the videos, taking photos, making social media. So creativity comes in different forms for different people. But there are certainly a lot of books. I've been reading Rick Rubin book, The Creative Way of Being. This is the Julia, The Artist Way. Yeah. A lot of artists turn to. The Rick Rubin book is really good.
I know. I think I heard you mention that before.
Yeah. Yeah. He gives like just a lot of prompts and thoughts, and like I was working with the Beastie Boys and they got stuck on a song and this is how they got out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Right.
Time and time and time again, because
Yeah.
he's worked with so many great artists. But in terms of this being such a cathartic, life-changing, transforming process, which has been for me, which has been for you, and the arts have the ability to do so, looking back on your journey from diagnosis to discovery, what are you now the most proud of?
I would say just stepping out of my comfort zone and having fun with, new things and exploring just my creative energy and meeting new people in this exciting, environment, and actually getting a space with zero empty spaces. Because I know that, like, I talked to you so long ago. I went to an event probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and I kept thinking about it, and I don't know what made me put it off for so long. And maybe it was just hoping that one day this amazing opportunity would come about. And just finally, stepping out of my comfort zone and getting out of my home studio, because I feel like if I was still there, I never would have explored different mediums and tried new things.
And you could have.
Yeah.
But right, it certainly
time.
accelerates the process when you have the
Totally.
outside inspiration and the insight. I'm going to say this with all due respect to other artists and creatives that have joined the program, have not joined the program, or yet to join the program, but I find a lot of artists have analysis paralysis, and a lot of artists wonder what if, or when that dream space will be available. And I'm going to use a great example. On our 10th space in Palm Beach Gardens, there's a very noteworthy and established artist that has a very powerful nonprofit, who him and his partner were not sure, because it was month to month, and we weren't sure if it was really worth the time. That artist undoubtedly has been one of our greatest success stories, who's a lifelong artist, but had a resurgence, was our first artist to ever get collected permanently in a permanent collection of a museum at the Norton. We were able to put him on magazine covers to this day, that people still call him 3 and 4 years after that magazine came out. That's because amazing. They saw it in a doctor's office lobby. And I understand everybody has their own unique financial situation in life.
Of course.
These studios are on a month-to-month lease basis, so if it doesn't work out, there's no penalty to discontinue. But I'm super proud of this artist, Anthony Burks, that most of you know.
Yeah.
No More Starving Artists Foundation in Palm Beach County, that, he stepped outside of his comfort zone, and that they took that leap, and he's been there for 5 years. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, he told me somebody came in from out of town and wasn't even planning to go there, stumbled in there, bought a $13,000 piece of art from him, and it happened. So I would venture to say, too, if you're unsure, if you're uncertain, my first book, Learning to Choose, was about learning lessons that I acquired specifically by stepping outside my comfort zone, that I'm going to give you a copy of, and anybody that's interested, I can give you a free Audible copy of, because I found, a lot of people find, the most beautiful things lie outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you make that choice and understand, not everybody's able to do it physically, monetarily, professionally, but so many people have found that success, that growth, that community, that whatever it is, outside the comfort zone.
I will say too, though, that being in this space, it holds you accountable and makes you promote yourself more, because, why are you paying for a space monthly if you're not going to promote yourself and push for yourself and post on social media? With my home studio, I was so focused on making art that I never posted on social media. I never did things. But when I'm here, I'm so excited about the work that I'm doing, and walking into this space, that I do find myself constantly on social media, or checking the number of hits that I got on my website. And since I've been here, I've had 300 more hits on my website than I have, since I was just in my home studio. So, whether or not you're selling a piece, it's still, you're getting the attention that you wouldn't have gotten had you not. So I agree. And the idea that when you open those incredible studios in other countries,
that we're going to have residency exchanges for, and we are having conversations in Europe.
So to me, like the opportunities itself, it's just, aside from the amazing tribe of people and family that you make, the opportunities alone are just so
which
much
you
fun.
Participated in with the potluck, which was our biggest attended. We had almost 50 people here, which was a great conversation. I'm gonna, since we're going kind of deep here, and getting into stuff we don't normally get to talk about on the podcast publicly. We don't force and require the artists to post on social media. And we only ask artists to be here at a minimum of 1 day per week to help keep the space open and active that you're paying for. So it really, it used to trouble me a lot when artists would sign up, they would, pay
drop
and
off their artwork.
They think they're getting like a cheap gallery and cheap storage, and then they get mad when they, I'm just going to be honest. We've had multiple artists join the program and leave that never once posted on social media and just said, oh, like, nobody walked in and bought my art. Well, what business in 2025 opens with doing zero marketing? Every business at some point has to do some marketing. We equip artists with great free tools and resources, 100%. And have workshops and the Cruise for Creatives and stuff like that. But we found with Anthony as an example, with yourself as an example, the artists that put the most into it get the most out of it. And, because how many people are going to randomly walk into your home studio?
Right. None. And if they do, then it's a problem because.
But and also, and then something that keeps coming up is like, what's the cost of doing nothing? Well, there's so many.
Absolutely.
The woe is me, like, I just wish they would stumble onto my website. Well, how are you going to get somebody to stumble onto your website in 2025? You got to take some action. So needless to say, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'd like to spin the camera around, show them a little bit about your process. And in your studio here. So why don't you show us a little bit about your process in the studio here?
So I'm working on a couple pieces. I volunteer at a place called Jafco, and we make flowers out of recycled material with teens and young adults with disabilities. So like water bottles, children's books, they make flowers out of. So I've been making some art pieces out of the flowers. So I'm just, a few pieces, just trying to make a couple pieces of like individual flowers. And then for the ones that I do with just like a single flower, I have a couple pieces too on the other side of the wall with a lot of the flowers. But I am sharing the proceeds with the organization. But I usually I'm like a messy painter. I like to feel the paint. So I'm usually covered in paint. So this is one that I'm working on. And I can't decide which flower I'm going to do, whether it be the children's book or the water bottle. So I'll do that.
Nice. You got a lot going on here in the studio. And
yes,
I'm actually going to take a seat and join you for our wrap up here. So we talked about a lot. We certainly appreciate the time and the insight. The last question that we like to ask on the podcast here is, what do you like the most about having a studio to create in outside your home?
Ready? Are we recording now?
Oh, yeah.
I love just having a space to create with other people. I feel like I feed off of the other artist's energy. And I just feel more energized outside of the house. I started to feel a little claustrophobic at home.
It happens.
Yeah. So, and if you haven't been to Dakota, which is crazy if you haven't been here yet, this building is it's just incredible. I'm going to go broke going to the coffee shop every day. However, when you walk to the coffee shop or you just walk the hallways, just, seeing the kitchens and the bathrooms and just everything here, it really,
it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's awe-inspiring. I mean, like, it's insane. There's a freestanding marble bathtub that I see every day, and I'm like, oh my God, I need the $50 million bathtub in my house. But yeah, it's just the building itself is just so inspiring. It just gets your creative juices flowing. So
it is the Design Center of the Americas, and it's back. And if you haven't been here and you'd like to join us,
you need to come.
Our grand opening is Friday, June the 13th from 5 to 7 p.m. with the ribbon cutting at 6 p.m. We're here at 1855 Griffin Road, right off of I-95 in showroom B102 in Atrium B, right in the smack middle of the place. So certainly encourage you to join us here. We're going to have a little after party get together with Toro Kitchen next door at Le Meridian Hotel, who's also catering. And supporting us with the bites in the bar there.
And if you want to come during the day, during the week, there's an incredible cafe that you can have lunch at. The coffee shop makes amazing coffee.
And we're open daily from 9 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. The building's open. The artists have 24-hour access. They can come and go as much as they'd like. We do stuff on the weekends, and we'll actually be having more events. We'll be sharing that. If they want to find you on social media and the interwebs, where can they find you?
LapidusArtDesigns.com, at LapidusArtDesigns. LAPIDUS.
Okay. And we do have actually 2 spaces of 25 left if you know an artist that would like to join us. Month to month, 0 commission, 24-hour access, water, electric included, 1 flow flat fee, join a growing community of artists.
Best building in the world.
It is incredible.
Yeah. You don't want to miss out.
It really is an incredible building. I mean, you can get every home furnishing here, or for people come here for the yachts. And while it is, a destination, people that come here to Dakota, you're not coming here dropping $5.
No, you're coming here dropping like
$100,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars in some instances. So certainly appreciate Dakota's support. The whole team has been great. Penrod PR team that connected us. We're super grateful for Susan and Leah that connected the dots here. The Lincoln property team that gave us this opportunity is great. And we're always looking at opening new properties. Just had an amazing time in New Haven at the Yale Innovation Summit. We plan to be doing a lot more in Connecticut. Met some incredible people there. And we're going to continue growing and scaling this thing, making an impact. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out at Zero Empty Spaces, zeroemptyspaces.com. Hope you could join us at the grand opening. And also great, fundraisers, events, work with JAFCO. If you're certainly interested, don't hesitate to reach out. She's an open book. We're both open books. And
if you rent space here, you can hang out with me all the time.
How about that? And get good coffee.
Yeah, and amazing coffee all the time.
All right. Cheers.